All right. Hello. We're going to do reptiles today. Just going to go through them pretty quickly. So, last week we talked about amphibians. Amphibians sometimes get mixed up for being reptiles, but there's some big differences. All do, they kind of look alike. So, the big thing about reptiles is they can live on land. They are not tied to the water like the amphibians. Amphibians have to have part of their life in the water. Not to say you can't have reptiles that live in the water, sea turtles, alligators, things like that, but they are adapted for life on land. They have claws, they have scaly skin that actually keeps the water in their body, and they have an egg. Well, the egg is a big adaptation because that is what's allowed them to live on land and to have their offspring to in not in the water. So they've been around for a long time because of moving out of the water, and something that lives in the water doesn't need as strong a body basically. So it has big lungs, better lungs I should say, legs, and they lay eggs. The egg or the amniotic egg is started with reptiles, but even when you start getting to mammals, they have a amniotic layer in there. They have a layer that basically holds the moisture in, so they don't need to be in a moist environment because the inside the egg is the moist environment. All right, so stronger limbs, they can move around on land better. So excuse me, they have the scaly skin. Like remember we saying that the amphibians almost like do gas exchange through their skin. This has a thicker skin. This doesn't happen with. Okay, they're cold-blooded. Ectoderm means that they get their warmth from the outside. They really don't produce a lot of heat. Unlike us, we can, if you're cold, you can actually go for a run and you can eat something that warms you up. So that's the reason why you see turtles. And I saw a snake the other day sitting in my backyard sunning because they get their body temperatures up. All right, so they can hold in liquids or water. They they release like a diluted, let's say. They don't, excuse me, do not release a lot of liquids. It keeps them from losing water. Best way to put that. All right, so they have lungs and they breathe air. That doesn't seem like an adaptation, but it is. So they have um, an egg, internal fertilization. So if you think of a fish, like a lot of fish, they put their gametes out into the water column, and the egg and sperm meet, and the fertilization takes place. Well, fertilization is internal, and then they lay the egg, and the egg reproduces. That's where the offspring comes from. But the fertilization takes place internally, and then the offspring is encapsulated in that egg that is left. The egg is a lot like a bird's egg. There's some differences, but they are very similar. And we're actually going to hopefully look at eggs in the next book when we look at birds. But it's kind of that's a big trait that's happened. All right, I might talk about this more, but the temperature of the offspring dictates whether the offsprings are male or female. Sea turtles, this is a pretty well-known thing, but with world temperatures increasing due to climate change, the worry is that balance of certain eggs at a certain part of the nest will be um, male and other ones maybe not like another section because of the temperature differences will be female. That can be altered when you have increasing temperatures and maybe they start skewing to one sex, so you don't have the same amount of reproduction. That is one of the fears. But yes, it is determined in the egg. So the different types, I'm going to go very quickly through this. We have our turtles, if everybody's seen alligator snapping turtle, sea turtles. I'm going to talk more about sea turtles next week. One thing you want to remember about a turtle is the top is called a carapace and the bottom is the plastron. And there's actually ribs. Well, their backbone is fused to the inside of their shell. I have one at school, but I know you guys can't see that. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to show you guys for today. We will hopefully next week. I want to talk a little more about sea turtles, and I'll show you a quick. I'll do a quick rundown this week on sea turtles. Thank you.